Hello everyone, what's up? A very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is not even shining, it's not even hiding, the sun didn't even bother to get out of bed today. The clocks in England changed, so we now live in permanent gloom for the next 6 months. Fantastic times. And the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys today with a live 1 vs 1 replay featuring, spawning in the south, it's going to be the Soviet forces of Alcoholic. A new player to the channel who seems to have opened with the very rarely seen Defensive Tactics Doctrine. We'll go over that in just a second. And has also gone for the Special Rifle Command, so Tier 1 opening going to be very aggressive from Alcoholic. Interesting times there. And spawning in the north, it's going to be the Overcommand West forces of Disturb1ng, but it's actually Disturb1ng. Also a new player, so a very warm welcome to the channel to Disturbing. The map today is going to be Langreskaya. This map has been in the game for quite a long time and was in the previous game, so I'm sure you all know the map by now. Just going to pan around so that you can refresh yourselves with it. Here we have a Schwerwerfer being used for scouting purposes, coming out pretty early here, and that is actually quite risky, although Disturbing doesn't know it yet, because Alcoholic could look to go for a scout car to follow up these Penal Legion that he's got. Penal troops even, and that is going to be the Penal Battalion, indeed, is their precise name. The Scout Car does really good damage to these Schwerwerfer. Yep, Scout Car is on the build queue right now. Alcoholic going for that at his earliest opportunity, and as the Scout Car builds and comes out onto the field, and as we have a couple of scuffles here and there, which I shall attempt to frame, I'm just going to overview the commander which Alcoholic has decided to choose in this game. He's gone for the Defensive Tactics Doctrine. Now, this one is super rare, you hardly ever see it. He gets PMD6 anti-personnel mines, small anti-personnel minefields constructed by combat engineers. They're a little bit more like the telefields that the German forces get. Gets the Danzak 38 heavy machine gun. That's pretty powerful machine gun, certainly an upgrade over the Maxim, though many argue that it's underperforming right now. Just going to keep an eye on this forever Max Schlepper. He also gets the heavy mortar squad. That's the 120mm mortar squad. Everyone loves that one. He gets the light AT gun, which is a fantastic unit, and can also build tank traps. Now here's the scout car. I think he knows that the Max Schlepper is here. It is totally exposed and open for a dive. I don't know why he doesn't go for it. He was literally shooting it 2 seconds ago, was Alcoholic. So he knows that the Max Schlepper has to be around about here. He could have caught that with the scout car and gunned it down if he was thinking more aggressively, I think. I'm not sure if he would have gotten the kill, but it would have been damn close. It's kind of moments like that that make me wish that this game had resumed from replay, a little bit like what StarCraft 2 has, so that you could go on the replay and see whether he could actually have achieved that or not. We can't have everything, and what we do have is a pretty sweet World War II themed RTS strategy game, so I guess I'll settle for that. And as here we have got the scout car, just trying to run down these Volks, get as many members of the squad as it can. Oh, got another couple there, so good work for the Soviet player, who is also making who is also losing ground. Disturbing, pushing in the south here, and the resource income right now pretty awful for Disturbing, owing to the fact that the scout car, by taking this cut-off point here, because this is the road point, you can see here this blue corridor of territory has cut off all of this hard work. So if I crack the tactical map, you can see this entire area here flashing red. That indicates that it is not right now contributing resources into the reserves for Disturbing, and Disturbing kind of in a bad way right now. The very quick scout car has forced him to put his battle group at HQ, sadly, in the main base, and I'm sure that you've all heard my rant by now. I don't think that that's a very good place to put it. The flamethrower upgrade comes down onto the engineers. We've now got the flamer car. Oh, you know what though? But a Rakettenwerfer comes in, gets a fantastic hit, and that is going to abandon the scout car, and I would love to see the engineers actually reman that and then fall back and get it out of there. I think that they could maybe do that. There's no line of sight right now. Okay, I take that back. There is line of sight, and the Rakettenwerfer is going to... Either that was a very good attack ground round, or there is line of sight somewhere. Meanwhile, we've got some Volksgrenadiers kind of trying to take this cut-off point here for the Soviets, but they managed to decap it, but they're not going to achieve a cap. Anyway, brave Volksgrenadiers here. They're going to take back this point. An incendiary grenade comes down, but it is kind of not going to do very much. Wow, if it burns one of these Volks, that's going to be turbo unlucky. It did not burn the Volk. Okay. So anyway, yeah, and by retaking this point, Disturbing now has his resources back intact. He's going to be back on track for teching up. I mean, look at the fuel reserves and income rates right now for the two players. We got 66, 67 in the tank with plus 26 the income rate for the Soviet forces of Alcoholic versus 36 in the tank and 17 the income rate for Disturbing. So the Overcommand player finding himself up against it just a little bit right now. Gonna have to make some smart moves coming forwards. He's also behind in terms of victory points, though not by much. He's at 475 under the 482, so a 7-point difference there. Nothing to write home about, of course, and we're only 5 minutes into the game, but it's never where you want to be. And if I crack the tack, you can see this is pretty much the story right now. Soviet dominance at the moment, just kind of splitting the map not quite into, quite unfairly. It's like 66-33 right now to the Soviets. And seems like the Axis forces, he has chosen his commander. He's gone for the Scavenge Doctrine. Now that's going to give him the ability to call in these Fallschirm, sorry, it's not Fallschirmjägers, these are the Jaeger Light Infantry. And they're a really good squad. However, Flamer Penal Battalion here, going to force the units out of the building, and it looks like they might decide to make use of the building themselves, and that gives the Flamer quite a good range, so they're going to do what they can. Meanwhile, we've got a scuffle in mid for the central VP. We've got a load of Volks horrendously outnumbered, but a good incendiary grenade comes down, doing fantastic damage to this squad of Penal Battalion. And yeah, this is a really refreshing strategy from Alcoholic, going for this commander. Anyway, Alcoholic now at 2 command points, roasting and toasting around the map. And 2 command points unlocks all of the remaining abilities for this commander. In fact, I believe they all unlock at 2 command points. So this commander is now just on, and at his strongest right now. From now on, every second that passes, all of these units are becoming less pokey and less relevant. They're all very good in the sort of like early mid, but decreasingly relevant as time goes on. I mean, they still have applications as time goes on, particularly the mortars, but they're not as good as they are right now. So let's see what choices he makes. Looks like a Dansak is going to be the first choice, straight off the bat. Weighing in at 300 manpower, 8 unit cap. The spicy Russian heavy machine gun comes on out. Fun fact about the Dansak, if you didn't know this, they actually designed it so you could use a spent shell cartridge as the cocking lever. So basically, you were never short of cocking levers. You could just pick one up off the ground, whack it into the side of the gun, and use that to put the first round of the belt in each time you reload the Dansak machine gun. So don't know what that says about Russian engineering. Clearly, they're quite pragmatic and like to use a fair bit of ingenuity in their solutions there, and make robust, long-lasting hardware, probably as typified by the AK-47. But I digress. We've got a scuffle here on the right flank, a couple of Fallschirm... Sorry, no, these are the Jaeger. They always get me. I always call them Fallschirmjäger. Anyway, going to be seeing off some engineers on that flank. In mid, we've got some Volksgrenadiers in decent cover. They're going to use the grenade barrage afforded to them by this commander, and it comes down in good positioning. That's going to detonate quite a few members of the Dansak spicy machine gun crew. They're going to have to fall back. And look at the size of that gun. That is a beefy, beefy cannon. Meanwhile, on the left flank, some Storm Pioneers here. They're going to be tangling with the Penal Battalion. They're just going to decide to get right in. They aren't afraid of the rate of fire or the flamethrower, but maybe they should be. Let's find out. So they're kind of trading okay. Oh dear, they're going to need to get out. That is in danger of a squad wipe now. But it seems like they're going to make it. So playing by the skin of his teeth a little bit. Now we've got Flamethrowers and Penal Battalion back in middle. 2 more squads of Volksgrenadiers coming in to back up with some Jaeger Light Infantry, which I actually got right the first time, coming in here at the back. I'd love to see them just take up in this soft cover here, perhaps. Not sure about fighting from here, but they're not actually being the subject of much aggression just now. So actually this seems just fine. A good rifle line here being formed from the Axis player. And if the Dansak spicy machine gun was here, this entire fight would be a different story. Let's see where it is right now. So it's just coming back to the fight, but I don't think it's going to be in time to take part in this this exchange. So a shame there for the Russian player. Jaeger Light Infantry also making their presence felt on the right flank. They're decapping point and chewing up grounds. Decapping points, sorry, and chewing up ground. Jaeger Light Infantry, fantastically enough, have the same ability that Obersoldaten have. They can use this one here for 50 munitions, booby trap, capture point. And I would love to see Disturb1ng spend 50 munitions to booby trap this point that he's just taken, because the Soviets will look to take this very quickly back. And putting a booby trap on that would, it's like almost guaranteed that you'll kill 3 or 4 guys and force a fallback, which right now, when you're looking for a little bit of tempo to push you into the mid-game, I'd say that's a really good move. So anyway, the Dansak has returned and it is beginning to suppress these Storm Pioneers very quickly, instantly, almost pinning them. They are now taking heavy damage from the spicy machine gun. We need to see a fallback on them sooner rather than later. Now, Disturb1ng clearly has his attention focused here because he just put down a grenade barrage. There we go, and he's going to get them out. Meanwhile, on the left flank, another flamethrower-equipped Penal Battalion squad going to roast and toast these Volksgrenadiers who don't give a damn. They're going to walk past, try and decap the fuel point. But the Penal Battalion, they're coming in now. It's 5 Volks against 3 Penal. The Penal do have 2 stars of veterancy and a flamethrower to their name, but I think that the Volks are going to take that fight, and they are. And that's quite important, actually, because that's going to swing the fuel point for quite some time. No Russian forces in the area, so that represents going without that fuel point for some time. And indeed, if the Volksgrenadiers stay there to complete the capture, and I can't see any reason why they wouldn't, that's going to be not just fuel that Alcoholic is missing, but fuel that Disturb1ng is gaining. And he's up to 125 fuel right now. In fact, he could be looking to establish... Has he forgotten to build a truck? Seems to me like he's either going to go for a Jagdpanzer or he's forgotten to throw down his truck, because if he wants to deploy his truck, now would be a great time. He has command over his half of the map, so could take his pick of positioning if he wanted to build a Schwerer Panzer HQ with the flak gun in a good position. Now seems like a sweet time, so I'm guessing that he's gonna go for a Jagdpanzer, and I have to say I like the choice on this map. The map's very open. The Jagdpanzer has good range, rate of fire, and accuracy, so you really kind of maximize your advantages there. This is a really good map. I mean, a Jagdpanzer, for example, parked like here, will lock down pretty much the entire middle area of the map, and with just a small amount of movement can even lock down sort of even further south in this sort of area here. So yeah, the Jagdpanzer is a commanding unit for the map, and that is the choice. Fantastic. So Disturb1ng may actually know what he's on about here. I'm gonna like I don't know, like I like the way he thinks like I do. Let's put it that way. So clearly a smart, capable, you know, genius commander there. If he's making the moves that I would make. So, yep. The Dansak getting set up again. The Dansak has been doing well. I'm surprised it's not actually a higher veterancy than that. And oh dear, the Russian player has constructed his Tank of V Battalion Command, which of course, you know, is part of the tech tree. I mean, there's no skipping this one. So, yep, fair enough. But he has, kind of unfortunately for him, opted to make a T-70. Now, he doesn't have any idea what the tech choices, what the unit choices are. These Storm Pioneers need to get out. They're taking extremely heavy damage. I see they're just buying time for this Incendiary Grenade, which does come down in a great position. That's going to do good damage and force the Dansak back again. But, yeah, the Soviet player who has no idea what the Axis player is going for in terms of tech. I'm sure if he knew that the Jagdpanzer was just entering the field now, this T-70 would not be on the queue. I just, you know, unless he's got a very, very clever plan for how to exploit the Jagdpanzer using the maneuverability of the T-70 to make sure that the Jagdpanzer can never engage it and the T-70 is doing work against infantry, and that is possible. I mean, you can do that, it's just damn hard. Anyway, so T-70 going to reveal itself here. The Jagdpanzer, I imagine, will be immediately told to come here. Let's have a look. Jagdpanzer, here it comes, rumbling on out, and he has set it to prioritize vehicles, so it's not going to waste any shells against the infantry it sees. There's very little in the way. In fact, there is no anti-tank here. No anti-tank. This is 12.5 minutes in, and Alcoholic has no anti-tank. So I would just say that is kind of alarm bells ringing with regards to his build and his strategy, because I mean everything's gone very well so far, but you have to imagine that the Axis player is going to have some armor out at some point, and most players will just get a sort of preemptive Zis gun or you know, just something to help poke against our armor. So anyway, getting a Zis gun after the fact, and he's not being punished for it because the Jagdpanzer is anti-vehicle only. It's not like a tank, it can't really chew up infantry. So the fact that it's been on the field for all this time, it hasn't been firing at the T-70, and so it has basically been kind of a neutral unit. So this gun being a little bit later, Alcoholic is not being punished for that, not particularly anyway. There are some mines here, but they're not constructed, so the Jagdpanzer is going to be okay on that one. T-70 is exploiting its maneuverability by pulling the Jagdpanzer around the map and then darting away using its superior speed. And that is what I was hoping to see when I said it's theoretically possible for this T-70 to still be useful even with the Jagdpanzer on the field. Trouble is, it's very unforgiving, you know. One wrong and you're out, basically. This T-70 will not stand up against the power of the cannon on that Jagdpanzer. So anyway, Axis infantry making a fairly determined push in mid. All of these points on the left flank are sort of weirdly decapped, and these they are not Fallschirmjägers, they are Jaeger Light Infantry. Ah, man, that gets me every time. Anyway, these Jaeger Lights, they really want to start chewing up the ground there. Now, I know that Disturb1ng is microing quite heavily right now in the middle. Whoa, that shot from the Jagdpanzer missing, but only just. The Jagdpanzer has taken a hit from the Zis gun, so keep your eye on its health and also the positioning of this Zis gun, which is pushing up now. He needs to get the Jagdpanzer out of there. It needs to be moving already. It's going to take probably 2 hits, and 3 will kill it, and he's still not moving it, so we're looking at 3 hits now. Oh no, if he loses the Jagdpanzer due to inattention and a slow response, that will be sad. Seems like he's just going to get it out. That was a shot away from disaster there. Rakettenwerfer has come forward though. That's going to be forcing the T-70 back for now. And I'd love to see some Panzerschrecks on these Volks Grenadiers. He's got a Panzerschreck on one of the squads, which is over here right now. He needs to also, yeah, here come the Storm Pioneers. Looks like they're going to try and repair this Jagdpanzer. And the repair rate on Storm Pioneer is pretty decent, so they should be able to get that turned around sooner rather than later. Now, this infantry kind of just been hung out to dry, as the Rakettenwerfer is going to go invisible and start creeping across the open, trying to get a hit. As if that would have hit, you got to think that these flanking Volksgrenadiers would have been able to seal the deal. They're going to have to fall back though. They're on 2 men. This is super risky. He's going to stay for one more shot. He needs to fall back, and an incendiary grenade at the same time. But the hero Volksgrenadiers are falling back through fire. They're on 2-star veterancy. They do have a Panzerschreck. The T-70 really wants them. The Zisgun takes a shot, but this hero Volksgrenadier, who should be awarded the Order of the Iron Cross or something, that was just like heroic work from him and his squad to get the incendiary down, which killed the Danzak. Wow! So he managed to incinerate the Danzak squad and play for a ton of damage onto this T-70, which is now turbo wounded. And yeah, the Jagdpanzer is kind of at 80% health, so that can take it. And yeah, things looking good right now for Disturbing. Although I really think he needs another truck. He's gone for the Jagdpanzer. He's up to like basically 100 fuel. He needs another truck because just having one truck puts you in an awkward position. If you have one truck with the overcommand, you have an answer for most things, but any 2 trucks will give you an answer for everything, even if it's not the best answer. So he needs one more truck, because I feel otherwise his limited unit choices... Oh dear! The Jaeger Light Infantry getting destroyed in a minefield here. But as I was saying, he needs to build one more truck so that he has the unit versatility, the unit choices available to him to move forward with into the sort of later mid-game with a position of strength. Anyway, seems like we've got some Volksgrenadiers backing up a Rakettenwerfer, which is currently invisible here. Here comes the incendiary grenade onto the Danzak again, making heavy use of these incendiary grenades. Those Volksgrenadiers are going to have to get the hell out of there, because of course they're getting flamed in the face by the Penal Battalion. Here comes some Storm Pioneers, and they think they might have found a good angle to engage this Zisgun, and they're right. They're going to push. Now here comes the Jagdpanzer as well. Not quite sure why this is so far forward and exposed in the middle of the map. This would be much better if it was just parked here. The only advantage it has by being here is that it can quickly reverse into this area of the map, but I don't really see that really being a sort of high payoff option right now. Anyway, Jaeger Light Infantry, they're going to come in, engage these Penal Battalion. Here comes the Jagdpanzer to try and take this T-70. The Storm Pioneers are going to escape with their lives. Again, quite lucky there. The Zisgun is in position to defend the T-70. The Jagdpanzer looking for one more shot. It's not going to get it. Why is it diving this far? I don't like this at all. It's going to need to reverse, and it does. He's going to back up. It may take another 2 hits, probably just 1. So the rate of fire on the Zis, probably the worst of all the anti-tank guns. Finally, the T-70 is going to go down to a homing round off the Panzerschreck there. And these engineers are not going to be enough. In fact, you know what? If he sees the Zis gun, which he does, he might just hop this fence and come in for an incendiary onto that expensive weapon platform. That would really serve him quite nicely. And I have to say, I do not follow the thinking for the choice here from Alcoholic. He's decided that his fuel spending should be another T-70. I don't know about this. I mean, first T-70 stayed alive quite a while, but basically just spent the entire game running away from anti-tank options and only got itself up to 1-star veterancy. I mean, it was not useless. Let's be clear, it was not useless. But I do not think that this represents the most well-considered spending of 70 fuel. I don't think this is the most efficient option. Even I think the Su-76 would have been better. But the Su-76 costs 5 more fuel and 80 more manpower. I did not realize that it was that cheap. That's really good. So he should have gone for an Su-76, I think. Su-76 would have been great, because as well as providing a really good anti-tank platform, which it is, it's a fantastic anti-tank platform, it would also provide him a lot of nice indirect fire. It has, of course, an indirect high explosive barrage, which it can put down for free pretty often. So, think he missed a trick there. Think he missed a trick. Maybe this was a misclick? I mean, they are right next to each other, but you have to think he would have seen that, cancelled it, and got the correct unit. Anyway, these Storm Pioneers are going to come in, and Disturbing remembers just at the last second there to put the metal detector away. All 4 of these Storm Pioneers are going to be bringing their STG-44 assault rifles to bear. Powerful stuff, and it looks like they're training well for damage despite the flamethrower on the Penal Battalion, so 2 stars of veterancy making a big difference. The 2nd star of veterancy for Storm Pioneer squads does mean that they are a lot more accurate with those guns. You noticeably, their DPS is noticeably better. So 2-star veterancy there making the difference in that fight, I suspect. Dansak set up in a good position. It's going to be hitting these Jaeger Light Infantry, whose name I got right the first time. Hoorah, go me. And they're going to have to get the hell out of this building because of their proximity to this Flamer, which has been able to push up with the Dansak suppressing. Dansak's going to rotate quickly to acquire these Volksgrenadiers, but too little too late, I fear. And here will be the Incendiary Grenade. Looks like he prefers to incendiary the Zis gun over the machine gun. I think I kind of disagree with that, because the Zis gun, I mean, he's not needing to use his Jagdpanzer right now. So, and he is an Su-76. So, hang on. Oh, wow, the second T-70 died here. I did miss that, for which I apologize. Died really fast, so that was clearly not an efficient use of 70 fuel. And here's an Su-76 following it up. Now, just imagine that this T-70 was not a T-70, it was an Su-76, and also imagine that it wasn't dead. That would mean that right now the Soviet player would have two Su-76s, and that is pretty scary. Whoa, good demolition pack being put down. That was a satchel charge coming out there. That killed a number of Axis infantry. Unlucky, I feel, not to get a squad wipe there, was Alcoholic, but them's the breaks, and got a scuffle here on the right hand side of the map. I'm just looking at the scoreline. It's actually 360 for the Allies and 363 for the Axis, so I mean a 3, now 4, 5 ticket difference at this 20-minute mark in the game. This has been a much closer game than it's looked. I have to say, it kind of looked like in the early game, like, whoa, really? A satchel charge comes down in a great position! Oh! Preemptive satchel charge there, trying to time it to blow up the Volksgrenadiers as they're falling back across it, which is what he was able to do with this satchel charge. Close, but no cigar this time for Alcoholic. So it's interesting that that's clearly a plan that he's comfortable trying to use. It's quite cool. Anyway, this Su-76 is getting caught out in a bad position. The Panzerschreck is bad though, that's going to go wide. And here comes a lot of Penal Legion. These guys are also suppressed by a Dansak, which is still in a spicy position. However, the Jagdpanzer is going to come forward. That thing's now earned itself its first star of veterancy. And that's actually suspiciously important. Oh my god, is he just going to stay and trade against the Su-76? He really wants the Su-76. He's going to get it. I'm not sure I would have left that there. He needs to get this out of here. He can use its level 1 camouflage ability right now to go invisible. Takes a critical hit from the Zis gun, but it's going to survive. And look, see now, because it's 1-star veterancy, this thing can go invisible and stealth itself using the cautious movement ability, which incidentally, I'm not saying it's broken, but is damn powerful when you can just make your tank destroyer go invisible. That is some powerful stuff, and part of the reason why, in my opinion, the Jagdpanzer is basically the best tank destroyer in the game. So anyway, we've got an extended skirmish going on here. Obersoldaten have been the choice here for disturbing. They've got the LMG-34 upgrade, so that's going to help them a lot, but they are actually just suppressed and sitting in front of this Dansak right now, which is not where they want to be. They're basically just feeding veterancy to the machine gun team at the moment. Another Su-76 coming out, and this is kind of okay, but I kind of think that he needs to diversify a little bit. I'm not sure the Su-76s are going to close this one out. Especially since he already lost one. I don't know. He doesn't have the option for T-34-85s though, and I think that's kind of what it feels like he needs. I know what, I'm going to say this, controversially I'm going to say I think an Su-85 would be a good choice. The reason that's controversial, of course, is because it only has the same gun as an Su-76, and it costs a lot more, but it does have the focus sight ability, and it has the rate of fire and accuracy to keep this Jagdpanzer at bay. So anyway, continued skirmishing here. Dansak doing good damage from the south. Meanwhile, on the rest of the map, we've got some engineers. They're going to see off a Raketenwerfer. The right-hand victory point falling into Axis hands. The scoreline pretty much, as near as makes no difference, equal, which is just kind of, yeah, this game has been balanced on a knife edge. The combat has been like constant, thick and fast. Su-76 takes a shot. It's going to miss. Where's the Zis gun right now? Where is the Zis gun right now? It's kind of out of position, just coming in now. The Jagdpanzer looks like he might stay for another shot. He needs to get out. He's taking it. Oh, the satchel charge! Oh, doing good damage. And that is a Jagdpanzer, which has now been destroyed. Penal Battalion being used to excellent effect there. And disturbing, I mean, that was just a mistake. There was no reason for him to lose that Jagdpanzer there. He just got cocky, thought he'd settle down and try and exchange for another Su-76 like he did with the last one. But that satchel charge putting quite the spanner in the works there. And incendiary grenade coming out from these Volksgrenadiers in mid. That's going to fall back. That's going to force back these penal battalion, and the Oversoldaten with the LMG-34 beginning to get work done. But I was going to say only while the Danzak lets them. And now that that thing is has acquired the Oversoldaten once again, they're going to need to fall back because they are just suppressed by a machine gun, being flamed. This is not where you want to be. Oh wow, though, a grenade barrage coming down onto the Danzak from the Jaeger Lights does not cause a squad wipe, but will force the fallback. They need to get out. They really need to get out. Wow, this could be a squad wipe on a quite fairly vetted up squad. Wow, and by not falling back the Oversoldaten, they're actually ready to rock now. So actually, a savvy choice by Disturb1ng not to fall them back when they were suppressed by the Danzak and things look really bleak. Now he's just got them to spearhead this assault. Here they come. And he's not going to spare a squad. I quite like putting the Rakettenwerfer on here. Wow, wow, wow. Oh no, a T-70. It's just going to come straight into a Rakettenwerfer and a unit of Shrek Volks. There goes the main gun. You've got to feel like this T-70 has just got to dive into the base if it wants to live here. And it does, and it does. 2 squads of engineers repairing the Su-76 in the Soviet base, so that thing's going to be ready. And it seems like he's kind of forgotten that you can use indirect fire. He could be using indirect fire the whole time. He could have been firing right here, and that would have been horrendous whilst those Axis forces were moving into position. So he could have been firing that whilst it was being repaired. Seems like he's forgotten about that ability as Alcoholic. Can't blame him though, because obviously, you know, he's probably quite pissed, I would have thought. Probably onto his 8th or 9th of the day. And it's quite early, so yeah, that's quite cool. I've never taken the time to look at the crew models in the Su-76. Anyway, so taking a pretty decisive chunk of map control there. Disturb1ng with the move through with his forces here managed to force a lot of the Soviet forces back to their base. It was an extension, so he's had to fall back and repair his units himself, reinforce all of his infantry, and so on. But But that has bought him quite a lot of time out on the map. Did Disturb1ng, so he's going to try and capitalize on that. He's kind of actually behind on the score, which I was not expecting to see. But he has deployed his other 2 trucks. The teching now for the Overcommand player complete. So the Schwerer Panzer HQ is down, and the Mechanized Regiment HQ likewise in position. So he's at 160 fuel right now as Disturb1ng, and now he has the choice to either buy a Panther at a good time, or continue saving for the King Tiger. Now, ordinarily, players who've been, or you know, watchers who've been on the channel for a while may be familiar with my thoughts on the King Tiger. I don't think it's a very good unit whatsoever. I think it's a slow, hulking liability, and I would rather have 2 Panthers any day. I just think that the King Tiger is a very bad unit. However, it does have its applications. It is not useless, and one of those applications is on maps like this. Because this map is very small, the King Tiger's relative power level feels a lot higher because it's able to influence a much larger chunk of the map at any one time. So, a King Tiger, well supported, could be the correct choice here. I'm still not convinced though, because 2 Panthers is always such a safe choice, and it's a very good choice. Wow, this 3-star unit of Volksgrenadiers gonna get destroyed, and that is an important loss there for the Overcommand forces. Now in comes a run by. These guys need to put away the metal detector. They're up to 4 stars now. What? Why are they just running past here? Can't help but feel this is a mistake. Here comes some indirect fire. This ball of infantry is kind of in a bad place right now, and I worry for Disturb1ng. I don't know what his plan is here. Probably going to be an incendiary grenade. Now they're getting suppressed. They have to fall back. This is just a nightmare. Why is he not falling them back? This is an overextension. If I see a satchel charge come out here. Okay, there we go. Oh! Wow! Overextending heavily there is the Axis player, losing 2 or 3 of his core infantry units, and suddenly things have gone from looking pretty good to pretty bad. Don't know what this move out here was all about. Look at the trail of Axis bodies, testament to the fact that that was inadvisable. He might even lose this Rakettenwerfer too. And wow, all of a sudden, look at the top left, look at the top right, look at the supplies. It's 44 for the Soviets now over the 27 for the Axis forces. That last phase of play, too aggressive. That was, I'm afraid, a categorical overextension from Disturb1ng there, who appeared to throw a lot too many of his units in way too far and keep them there too long. So the trifecta of overextension there. And yeah, that is harsh times. Now there is a flamethrower. I believe that's a flamethrower on the floor. Oh no, it's a demolition pack. Sneaky, sneaky Russians. Now let's see if this is going to do any good. We do have an Obersoldaten squad who are kind of thinking that they might want to try and retake this point, maybe push these engineers away. So if they get close to this demo pack, let's see if Alcoholic is able to see through the alcohol haze and click on this demolition pack. Oh, they're not on it yet. Like, I would say that the blast on this pack will kill any infantry within about this radius. So the entire Obersoldaten squad ideally would need to be tucked in about that close. Obviously, they don't have a metal detector, so they can't see that that charge there. Anyway, a Zis gun has been salvaged for the Axis forces, so that is a versatile and worthwhile piece for the Overcommand West forces to have. The Zis gun is actually reasonable against infantry, so I'd quite like to see him turn off target vehicle, though I do understand that he might want to reserve that shot for using it. Oh dear, and here it comes, this could be it, this could be it, this could be it! Oh, fantastically orchestrated, forcing the fallback with the T-70 onto the demo charge and using it with precision timing. Alcoholic proves that you can get the job done even after 2-3 bottles of spirits, and he's just destroying squads right now, and Disturb1ng is up against the ropes. Now, you can tell from his fuel, he's up to 250, and his fuel income is still very reasonable, because somehow he's been able to hold on to the map through all this. So he's clearly going for the King Tiger, and he could have had it out already by now if he'd have just salvaged a couple of things out on the map. I mean, there's salvage galore out there, many wrecks all over the place. Most notably, this Jagdpanzer could easily be salvaged. Actually, you know what, I say there are many things. There were 2 T-70s, but actually he didn't really have good access to those, so maybe I'm being overly critical, but he could still have salvaged this. So anyway, 260 fuel now in the tank. Look for the King Tiger to have its effect on the bank and move out onto the field shortly, he says. Yep, there we go, King Tiger now on the build queue. So we're going to see the ultimate weapon of war for the Overcommand forces, the King Tiger 2, take to the field in just a second here. Now, is he using fuel conversion? He is using fuel conversion right now, is Disturb1ng, so that explains why his munitions income is so low and his fuel income is pretty damn decent. He has enough munitions as well to buy the MG42 pintle mount upgrade for the King Tiger, which is essential. Of course, on the King Tiger, that pintle mount does, like, vast amounts of damage very rapidly, and also contributes to the veterancy rate of the unit considerably by adding a third machine gun, and of course the most potent machine gun. Needs to put away the metal detector here if he's going to take this fight, I would say. Does Disturb1ng. Yep, and he does. So unfortunately his 4-star unit of Storm Pioneers was destroyed in the last assault. Wow, and the LMG-42 has been picked up by these penal battalion. That is just nothing going to plan here. Now let's see, what's the camo on the King Tiger? Oh, it's not arrived yet, sorry, my bad. The Su-76 here at the back, up to 6 kills, 2 stars of veterancy. That's going to stand it in good stead. Of course, 2 stars is when it gets the improved damage and accuracy, and that's going to stand it in good stead when this King Tiger comes onto the field, because pretty much it's going to be down to a Zis gun and the Su-76 to deal with the King Tiger. And that's quite an ask right now. That is quite an ask. Now, lucky for Alcoholic, he's floating about 600 manpower or so. So that is enough to go for another pair of Zis guns. And believe me, Zis guns really are the Soviet answer for Su-76. Sorry, for King Tigers. So anyway, listen, hear that distant rumbling? That's the sound of a King Tiger. Let's go and see what the camo choice is. The camo choice is no camo. Ooh, controversial, Disturb1ng. Not sure I can approve of this. Let's see. I mean, without that extra layer of paint, that actually represents, you know, like a millimeter of armor. So the King Tiger here, let's see if it's actually going to be any worse in its unpainted state. Anyway, here it comes. Coming onto the field right now. It looks like he's just doesn't give a damn. He's just going to throw it straight into the front of the Su-76 and the Zis. He's also just going to start firing at the infantry rather than holding fire for a more valuable target. If you're going to throw it into the Su-76 and the Zis, you at least want to make sure those are the units you're hitting, because those are the only ones that can threaten the King Tiger. So I do not agree with just parking your King Tiger here and trying to passively take the fight. I think you've got to, if you're going to throw it into your opponent's line, you have to make sure it's hitting the most important units from your point of view. Anyway, the extra 5 range, the range of course was buffed on the last patch from 40 to 45, so that extra 5 range making itself felt in these kind of engagements. But I still think, I mean, a second Zis gun is on the field now. Here it comes, and I think you've kind of missed your opportunity to try and take this fight. But he's going to try and take it with 3 Zis guns. I mean, I know he doesn't know about the third one, but you can't just reveal a King Tiger, give your opponent a minute to think about it, and then come in with like a sledgehammer frontal assault. No, because look, yeah, you're just going to get hooned. Look, it's just getting devastated. This is just This is how not to use a King Tiger, sadly. And it comes down to just these small things, like I said, like positioning the King Tiger, where you're going to take it, and if you are going to take this head-on fight, the difference between one Zis gun and an Su-76 and two Zis guns and an Su-76 is night and day. Because one Zis gun and an Su-76, you can look to take that with a King Tiger. It is doable. Two Zis guns and an Su-76 is a lost King Tiger 90% of the time. So now you've got this slow, hulking liability, which is going to have to lumber backwards, get repaired, which takes ages, and basically for all these reasons, I don't like King Tigers. I think that they're rubbish, and I think that a Panther tank would have served our overcommand player Disturbing a lot better. Look how deep this crater is. It's like the deepest crater. These guys are like actually lost down there. They're putting another charge down there, are they? No, they're going to cancel it and put it here. Is that a demo charge or is that just some mines? It's just some mines. Oh wow, he's actually using the PMD-6 anti-infantry mines, so cunning positioning here. These are, of course, like the telemines for the Axis forces. It's a minefield of 4 quadrants, so you can see the engineers here just deploying the 4 quadrants of the minefield. I know we've got a scuffle in middle. In fact, you know what, let's go and cover that. So, scuffle in mid here. We've got some very veteran Obersoldaten Volksgrenadiers here, trying to do what they can. The machine gun team here doing really good though. And you know what? You know what's been missing from Disturbing's lineup this entire game, right? Right now, the strength of the Soviet player is definitely in its weapons teams. These Zis guns, of which there's a third coming, and this Dansak, which have been doing fantastic damage. He's kind of parked that in a fire though. This Dansak spicy machine gun, which has been doing really good damage this pretty much this whole game. Right, these are all weapon teams. What counters weapons teams? Well, why don't we go and have a look in the battle group at HQ? It's the light gun. So I really think that a light gun would have stood Disturbing in great stead. It's a really good counter to all of the units right now which are giving him a headache, and it would force the Soviets to basically keep repositioning or think about trying to take a fight to get the light gun. It just puts on a lot of pressure, and right now all you're looking for as the open command player is to control basically this screen here. A couple of light guns at the back here, King Tiger parked here, that gives you 2 of the victory points, it gives you a lot of the fuel points. The King Tiger just going to get deflected by mass Zis guns. Look, every time you commit it, this is what's going to happen now. The Soviet player has had enough time to see your King Tiger and respond. And that is bad time. These Grenadiers are going to need to GTFO there. They're in a bad place. And, I'd almost like to see an indirect barrage be put down from that Zis gun, like around here or onto the Dansak machine gun. Yeah, he's got the manpower. Disturbing should buy light guns. That is the appropriate unit right now. Alternatively, he has enough fuel. He could go for a Stukas Fuss, the old Werfermann. That is also a unit he can buy. Here it is. 6 heavy 28cm rockets, etc., etc. But no, it looks like Obersoldaten the unit of choice, which, I don't know, I mean, you know, your opponent seems pretty well outfitted to deal with this kind of, like, brawling infantry-style battles which have been occurring this entire game. He's got penal battalions with LMG-34s, flamethrowers, he's got a Dansak, he's got Zis guns, even the Su-76. These are all pretty good against Obersoldaten. So I think Obersoldaten here, not the best unit choice from Disturbing. King Tiger's going to think about trying to swat down the T-70, but it has stopped in pretty much the perfect position. Alcoholic here, playing a smart Soviet game in the face of the big Axis toys. And credit where credit's due, he's doing it very well right now. So we'll see if he's able to maintain this. Oh wow, an infantry group were lost for the Axis player just now. Now, possibly that was on a mine or some kind of grenade. I'm just panning around trying to find any Axis casualties or something like that. Unfortunately, sorry, I'm not sure quite where or what was lost there. I think it was a squad of Volksgrenadiers, but it's hard to tell. And so Disturbing really needs to try and pick himself up right now. The King Tiger's going to come in at a nice angle using this building as cover, actually. I quite like this. He could even just come around and take out the Zis guns like one by one using this building as cover. That's an option, actually. This is not an option, sitting here with your side armor onto a load of Zis... Pardon me, to a load of Zis guns getting plinked. This is a really bad position for the King Tiger. What is it doing? What is it doing? I'll tell you, not a lot. He doesn't even have the munitions for an LMG-34, actually, which makes these Obersoldaten an even more questionable choice. Whoa, what is going on with this King Tiger? What is it doing? Is it going to aim at the Zis gun? Is that what's going to happen? I don't like this positioning at all. This could be a dead King Tiger. He's getting way too ambitious. Oh my god, he doesn't have the pintle gun. Oh no, this King Tiger is just... it's kind of been a botched operation from start to finish. Look, the amount of input, the amount of damage this King Tiger has done has been negligible. A squad of Volks Grenadiers would have been a better investment than this King Tiger. And I'm sorry, like, the King Tiger has a time and a place. Sometimes when you need a line breaker or you need a solid unit to consolidate your line around on a small map like this, the King Tiger can be good. But used like this, it's just a massive liability. It is just a weakness, and this is why I just never really like King Tigers. Like, very rarely I'll build a King Tiger, and I've learned to build them when I'm pretty much like certain that they're going to be really good. And this, like, my King Tiger sense is telling me that this is not the time when you want a King Tiger out. So anyway, I'll shut up about that now. I feel like I've been on about it long enough. Satchel Charge! Satchel Charge doing fantastic work. These Volks Grenadiers, this squad is going to be lucky to escape. He's running past a 3-star squad with an LMG-34, but he is going to get out. And if that's the same guy who got that Panzerschreck out, that is his second Order of the Iron Cross, which I'm hereby honorarily awarding him. That is, wow. Anyway, repair tool has been equipped on the Storm Pioneers, so to his credit, Disturbing can repair this thing very quickly, especially if he combines, of course, the repair rate provided by his Mechanized Regiment HQ here. That is now 7 dudes repairing, 4 of whom have repair tools, and so yeah, that's a really good thing. So he is at least able to turn over this King Tiger quite quickly when it does get damaged, which is pretty important. Here come the Oversoul Dart on a good angle. We may see a bundle charge be coaxed out here, but actually, you know what? He doesn't have munitions, so that's not going to be a thing. Jaeger Light Infantry. Oh, wow, he's going to use the Grenade Barrage. Fair enough. Well, that's going to actually do some really good damage. King Tiger flails a shot in, but that's going to be a miss. T-70 comes through to deflect the Oversoul Dart, and the King Tiger is deciding to commit even further into these 3 Zis guns. This is risky now. Don't like this. SU-76 comes forward. And going to secure itself a Star of Veterancy and pull out, which, yeah, that seems reasonable. But Disturbing just doesn't really have the supporting troops he needs right now. I mean, he's at 56 supply under the 75. And when you take into account the fact that, like, 26 of his supply is in that King Tiger, I think it's like 26 for a King Tiger, yep. That basically means that if you discount the King Tiger, he has 4 infantry squads against, like, I don't know, the 8, 9 of his opponent, including support weapon teams. I mean, you can never just discount a King Tiger, but what I'm saying is his army is a lot smaller than these supply caps would have you believe, because 26 of his supply is taken up in this fatty tank, which is actually getting whittled down quite quickly by these Zis guns. It's down to 20% health. That is risky times. Jaeger Light Infantry getting hoovered up by this T-70, and I think the writing may be on the wall for Disturbing. I mean, he's got 132 tickets, and he's only losing 1 per tick, so he has time to give right now. He's under the clock, but not in too bad of a way, although he will be if these engineers manage to take this point. So let's see what happens with that. He's just lost his Oversoul Dart, has Disturbing, and he can't keep hemorrhaging expensive squads like this. He needs, I think he needs 2 light guns to even think about taking back these victory points. 2 light guns would just provide a nice umbrella for his troops to work under. But you know what, actually, if he goes for light guns, Alcoholic can counter with the 120mm mortar squad, which is a real option. So we'll have to see if that's that will ever come to play. I doubt it. I doubt it. I think if we were going to see I think if we were going to see light guns, we would have seen them by now, sadly. So I don't think that they're going to be a thing. I think basically you need to take your money and put it into Volks Grenadiers. No, I don't know. It's whoa. Actually, he's got a lot of fuel. He's got a lot of fuel, and there is no one-off limit on King Tigers. So if by some miracle he can save up the manpower, then Disturbing can get 2 King Tigers out. Now, we're kind of into the hypothetical realms as far as whether that's good go. I'm not really sure I'm qualified to comment. I've had 2 King Tigers every so often, but only generally when I'm winning the game by so far. It just makes no difference, and I'm just like, yeah, I know what, I'm going to build 2 King Tigers. Yeah, he could get 2 King Tigers, and with 2 King Tigers, he may actually just be able to leaf blower his way through all of these units. Just kind of come in with the King Tigers and just leaf blow them away. So that might actually be sufficient force. We'll see, we'll see. Oh, the King Tiger's just parked in mid, just taking hits to the face for no reason. Let's not do that. Let's get that out. And he does. Whew, close times there. And what was that decal on the side of the tank back here? Deutschland. Okay, cool. Wasn't quite sure what it said there. Anyway, Let's crack the tack and we can see how everything... These Zis guns just providing a nice wall here, just kind of keeping the King Tiger at bay. Which way is this King Tiger facing? I fear for its armor placing here. Wow, the Zis gun's getting real far forwards. Looks like Alcoholic is kind of wanting to make a play for this King Tiger. But you got to be careful. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew. It is a hulking liability, but it does damage very quickly if you get your units close to it. So you got to be careful there, Alcoholic. Just, you know, don't throw it away. You're in a really good position here. And, able to decap, although not for very long, this victory point here. Wow, sprint coming down, but it's not going to be enough. And these Jaeger light infantry need to get the hell out, and they're going to do it. But I think the T-70 is going to be able to pursue them down, and the T-70 really flexing its muscles now. This T-70 was a good investment, and that's going to certainly should get this Jaeger light infantry guy. Yep, there he goes at long last.
Lost a squad of infantry.
And wow, down to just 3 units now is disturbing. And you've got to feel like he kind of is saving for that second King Tiger, but here's the thing, even if he saves for it and buys it, I don't think he's going to have enough time to use it. Because he's literally down to 3 units now. And Su-76, another Su-76 coming off the Soviet player. This is what a dominant Soviet late game looks like. Lots of Zis guns, basically. When you have 3 or more Zis guns in this late of a game, Soviets are doing pretty well. They're just, I mean, that is the late game answer, and it really helps against King Tigers. Wall of Zis is like, just trust me, Soviet players. If you're having problems with the big cat, then crack out more Zis guns, basically. I've been playing I've played 2v2s before, where my friend and I were both playing over command. We both had King Tigers out, and we basically just lost them to like epic wall of Zis guns, and we didn't lose them frivolously. We didn't just throw them in and just be like, oh, they've got lots of Zis guns, and lose the King Tigers. No, it was like a drawn-out Tiger versus Zis gun contest that lasted like half an hour. But basically, in the end, that's a fight that the Zis guns will win, really. Like, there's not much you can do, and we couldn't get close to the Zis guns on account of supporting units for the Soviets. So, yeah. Anyway, Storm Pioneer is going to run out into the middle here. Looks like they're going to try and make a play for the middle VP, which is, of course, totally valid, because right now what Disturbing needs is more time. He's going for a Panzer IV. Yeah, okay, quite like this. Yeah, fair enough. He can bring in the King Tiger, make all the AT turn towards the King Tiger, which he pretty much has to do. You've got to respect the big cat. And then bring in the Panzer IV. And look to take the anti-tank weaponry from an angle that they're not facing. Now, he is going to need the munitions for a pintle-mounted MG if he wants that Panzer IV to be any good against the Zis guns. And here comes the Panzer IV. Of course, because it's an overcommand Panzer IV, it's going to arrive with the spaced armor, the side skirts on the turret and sides of the vehicle already applied, so it is more durable than the Wehrmacht equivalent. Costs more fuel, mind, but yep, more durable. So here it comes, Panzer IV. Lovely little medium tank, the Panzer IV. Very good, yeah, I'm a big fan of Panzer IVs, been using them since the game came out. I feel like right now, though, they are very sort of overshadowed by the Cromwell. This is a King Tiger in a dire position. It's under half health, 3 Zis guns hooning it in the sort of side front. That is risk. I'm not sure I can really condone that. And anyway, Panzer IV here, going to find a Dansack. That should force that back. A massive blast there takes care of, what were they, Volksgrenadiers? It's hard to tell now because they're only in little pieces. But that was a demo charge being used for good effect there by the Soviet player, who's got the King Tiger kind of pinned in by like 2-3 Zis guns and 2 Su-76s. It's just taking hit after hit. It is on the ropes, where the ropes is the doorstep of its own pace, and that is going to be the end of the King Tiger. That is going to be the end of Disturbing's hopes in this game, and he agrees with me as he's going to choose that moment to GG. So yeah, a good 47-minute game there between these two players. Quite close through the early and mid stages, but some questionable choices in the late game there from Disturbing, leading him to eventually bleed out to the Soviet forces. Now, I think what I would say is light guns would have been an essential part of his battle line because his opponent was relying so heavily on weapon gun teams. I mean, he's up to like 4 here, and he had numerous others as the game went on. So light guns would have been a really nice counter for this heavily weapon team and infantry-based style for the Soviet player. This map's also very good for light guns because it's very open. The light guns can fire over everything here. There's no buildings going to block their line of sight. Nothing's really going to provide any sort of cover for your opponent. So it's a great map for the light guns. Obviously, their suppression effects are very useful for stopping the enemy from trying to cap back these points. So I think a brace of light guns deployed maybe one here and one here, say, or maybe one here and one just tucked in behind this building or something, would have provided a fantastic umbrella and like a shielded defensive position for the Axis forces to operate from. He could have parked his King Tiger just in front of the light guns, or even just in between them, had supporting infantry making sure all of these points remained captured, and that would have been the way that I would have approached that late game if I'd have had the sort of the King Tiger choice. But the King Tiger choice, I've commented on this enough, so I'm just going to say I did not agree with that choice, and I think he would have been better off going for a Panther and leave it at that. I also think that there was one other crucial mistake from Disturb1ng which cost him the game, and that was getting a little bit overzealous with the Jagdpanzer. He was able to kill the first Su-76 by just parking the Jagdpanzer and trading shots till he won, and then reversing away, and that worked. Then when he saw the second Su-76, I feel like he thought that the same thing was going to happen, but there were a few things different that second fight. When he parked the Jagdpanzer here for the second fight, the Su-76 and the Zis gun that were accompanying it got the first shots, both of which hit and penned the Jagdpanzer 4, and when you get off to that sort of a start and you've not even fired a shot, that is time to abort the operation as far as trying to snipe that Su-76 by sitting there trading goes, because if you've already just suffered 2 penetrating hits, that is a fight which, like, there's long odds that you're going to win that one. And he was just too slow to realise and reverse that tank. So he did realise and start reversing it, but too late, and the Zis gun was able to capitalise and destroy it. So I think if that Jagdpanzer 4 had not gone down at that time, which was basically due to a mistake, then things would have looked very differently moving on, and possibly he would have felt more comfortable going for a unit other than the King Tiger. So yep, that would be my post-game analysis from Alcoholic, the Soviet side of things. I think he did very well. I think he did very well to use a commander we don't, in fact, almost basically never see, and played it pretty much to its advantages, making use of the Dansak, making use of the mines. You know what, actually, he didn't use the other 3 abilities, so I really think he could have chosen a different commander now that I think about it. But that aside, a good game from Alcoholic, showing a firm understanding of Soviet tactics, how to use satchel charges to get squad wipes, how to use demolition charges to really tax your opponent when they're behind, and also how to use Zis's in the late game to answer the Axis big toys. Very nice stuff from Alcoholic, and I look forward to seeing more games from both of these players on the channel in the near future. So to all of you out there, thank you very much for watching. This is Magpie842 signing out.